American White Table by Margot Theis Raven. It was just a little white table, but it brought tears of pride to my Uncle John's eyes. The Veterans Day, he came for dinner and stood by it, except for one person, even though no one would be eating there. It was just a little white table, but earlier that day, Mama had told Gretchen, Samantha, and me the little table we were setting for Veterans Day, just like the ones that stood across America in the dining halls of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force since Vietnam War ended. The table honored the men and women who served the American Armed Forces, especially those missing in action, the MIAs, and those held prisoner of war, or the POWs. It was just a little white table, but it felt big as America when I helped Mama put each item on it. She told us why it was so important. We used a small table girdle, she explained for us, to show how one soldier lonely battled against many. We covered it with white cloth in honor of the soldier's pure heart when he answered country's call of duty. We placed a lemon slice and grains of salt on a plate to show the captive's bitter face and tears of the family waiting for loved ones to return, she continued. We pushed the chair to the table for the missing soldiers who are not here. We lay a black napkin for the sorrow of captivity and turned the glass over for the meal that won't be eaten, she said. We placed a white candle for peace and finally a red rose in a vase tied with red ribbon for hope that our missing will one day return. Mama finished speaking just as the sunlight spilled onto the table and filled the overturned glass. It was just a little red table, but suddenly it made me want to burst with a feeling. I turned and explained when Mama told us how much us setting the white table would mean to Uncle John that night. When she told us something we didn't know, our Uncle John, who gave us big bear hugs, spun us with airplane tools, and called me his Katie girl. Was a POW in Vietnam before we were born. It was just a little white table, but it gave us the courage to ask Mama what happened to Uncle John in Vietnam. She quietly told us a story. When Uncle John served in Vietnam, he was sent to rescue mission with his helicopter, was shot down and behind enemy lines he begun. And his 3 crew members were taken prisoner. One crew member named Mike had serious wounds from the crash. Uncle John and the other men tried to help Mike get better and persuaded the guard to bring Mike medicine. Then one day, when the guard looked away, Uncle John and the others had a chance to escape, but Mike was still too sick to go. So John stayed behind because he wouldn't leave a fellow soldier alone so far from home. But how did Uncle John get free? We asked Mama. Sometime later, Uncle John had a chance to escape again. Somehow, he was able to take Mike with him, carrying him on his back and collecting just enough rainwater and big leaves to keep him alive until Uncle John found an American infirmary unit to help them. Even though Uncle John did everything he could to bring Mike home alive, Mike's wounds were too serious and he died before the rescue helicopter landed. I know that Mike was only 20 years old and he dreamed of playing football, but he loved America enough to give his life for his country when his duty called. And I know how much Uncle John loves America too, but he learned when helping Mike that a soldier risks his life for a fellow soldier because the best of our country lives in every man and woman who would lay down their life for you too. It was just a little table, but it needed words of gratitude like Mama's Thanksgiving meal. Before Uncle John arrived for dinner, Gretchen, Samantha, and I decided to put 3 gifts of our own on the table to honor Victor. Gretchen colored a picture of all the objects on the table. Samantha wrote the words of My Country 'Tis of Thee as tribute in song. But I didn't know what I, a 10-year-old girl, could ever put on the table that was so important as each veteran's gift of freedom to me. It was just a little white table, but I looked at it all dinner long. It was quiet inside. In the quiet inside me, I could almost hear the silent soldiers emptying chairs saying, "Remember us, please. We are real people like your Uncle John and Mike, who left families, friends, and homes and dreams of our own to protect your birthright of liberty from disappearing as easily as the sunlight from a glass." It was just a little white table, but it took my words away when I hugged Uncle John goodnight and wanted to thank him for serving our country bravely. So I hugged him even harder and told him I loved him. Uncle John hugged me back even harder than I had hugged him. And that's when I knew what I could put on table. My promise to put words from my heart into a little book about America's white table. In the book, I used Gretchen's pictures, Samantha's song, Mama's story about Uncle John and his friend Mike, because I hoped everyone who read it would set a little white table on Veterans Day too. So the brave Americans, the little table honors, won't ever feel forgotten in a country they love so much. Then in the salt on the little white table, I traced the grains of their family's tears, what each man or woman who serves America is to me, a hero. And when I saw the tears of pride filled my Uncle John's eyes,